What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the running back position for the Detroit Lions and kind of my perspective on why I value it so highly. So let's get it started.
I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
And welcome, everybody, to our video. Glad you guys are here. How's everybody doing, man? We're back to talk some Lions football. It's always a good time to talk some Lions football. And today I thought we would talk about the running back position. So I put up a video, my last video. It's about running back draft prospects. And look, some people are like, oh yeah, hey, go this way or go this way. Everybody's got their own ideas on where you should go in the draft, how much you should value a certain position, where the Lions need to focus. You know, that's great. Everybody does. But I kind of want to give a detailed explanation upon why I value the running back position so heavily. I kind of want to explain myself there. And this isn't me trying to say, hey, you need to value the running back position like I do. I just kind of want to explain the reason I do, because some people don't understand why I think the running back position is that important. Because trust me, just about a year or two ago, I never thought the running back was that important. I was like, hey, I don't need a running back. Just keep getting offensive linemen and they'll be fine. You can keep getting offensive linemen, you'll be fine. And yes, offensive line is a big factor, but I think some of that has to do because I played a lot of Madden, all right? And in Madden, you guys saw my fantasy draft maybe. I don't draft running backs. I wait on running backs because my thing on Madden is I'll just draft all offensive linemen and I'll get my running back late because I get to control my running back. However, in the NFL, it's a little bit different. You don't get to control your running back. The running back has to obviously control themselves, right? But they have to be the guys to read the holes, see the vision, make plays, make guys miss. They have to do all that, all right? This isn't Madden, this is real life. So why do I value now the running back position so heavily? Well, I started to take a deep dive into the numbers of it. And I put a lot of emphasis, and it's making me realize that I think the Lions need to emphasize finding a number two or a partner for DeAndre Swift this offseason. I have many reasons for that, and I'll go through those in today's video. I'll try not to jump around too much, and I'll try to not be confusing with this. But again, I just kind of want to explain myself. That way there's no more confusion because, look, not everybody has to value the running back position. Not everybody's going to value the same positions. Like for me, I'm okay with waiting on receiver. Yeah, I'd like a top receiver, but if we don't get our guys back, you go top, but I can wait as well because I know every draft goes deep at receiver. Everybody has different thoughts on when you should do what, and that's fine. But for me, I really do think the running back position is important to get someone with DeAndre Swift. Not saying get rid of Swift. I need a guy to go with DeAndre Swift. So let me tell you why. Well, let's just start with the basics first. Let's take a look at the Lions running back group right now. It consists of Kerryon, Adrian Peterson, and DeAndre Swift. Those were the three guys for the Lions last season. Now, Kerryon Johnson basically had no role. I thought he'd have a big role. He didn't. The guy had 52 carries, barely got the football. So that was kind of upsetting because we didn't really get to see a lot of him. And then you have Adrian Peterson, who was kind of the guy until Swift really took over at the end there. But those two kind of split. It was really Peterson and it was Swift. Now, Adrian Peterson is not under contract, and he's already told us that he kind of wants to play for a contender. So I believe he won't be back unless because Swift said he wants him back, that he will. I don't think he's going to be back. So that leaves us with two running backs, DeAndre Swift, going into his second year after a really nice first year. Oh, just in general, the Lions need depth anyways, because you do only have two running backs currently under contract, assuming you keep Kerryon Johnson. You got to have depth, and I'm fine with keeping Kerryon. We'll talk about it, but you need to have depth. So that's the first thing. But let's take a look at the basic numbers here, all right? Started off with the basic numbers, and then we'll go a little bit deeper, and I'll give more examples here. So with the basic numbers, one thing you'll notice is that I love to look at yards per attempt, all right? I don't want to look at rush yards, because if some dude has 200 attempts, guy has 10, of course rush yards will be higher. Even if he's not running efficiently, he just might be getting the ball a lot more. But I like to look at rush yards per attempt, okay? Yards per attempt. How many yards per pop are you picking up? Okay, I think it's the best way to look at the efficiency of a run. Well, you can see the big difference right there. It's pretty glaring, all right? You got a guy in Adrian Peterson averaging 3.9. Not very good, right? Not very good. Way low. Kerryon Johnson, this past season 3.5. Now, his fault, he didn't get tons of carries, but only 3.5, and clearly the Lions didn't really believe in him to take that next step, which concerns me a little bit. But then you look at Swift, 4.6. That's a big difference. I mean, that's a big gap. All right, how big is that gap? Well, that gap is so big. If DeAndre Swift was the whole rushing team, we would have been 10th in the league in yards per carry. All right, that's a big gap. 4.6 is really good. The Lions have never averaged 4.6 yards per carry in the Stafford era. I like to use the Stafford era because I think it's what everybody knows, 2009 to this past season. Never averaged that many yards per carry in a season, never. All right, and DeAndre Swift was able to do that last season. Now, you notice, okay, the big difference there. Kerryon Johnson, now he had a good rookie season, but he hasn't shown that since. And also another concern is injuries. I'm not completely sold that he can be healthy for me. Look, I'm okay with missing a few games, but he has missed a pretty substantial amount of time his first 2 years. Now, he didn't miss any time last year, but he only had 50 carries, so maybe that has something to do with it. I'm not sure. Kerryon's just weird. That's why I wish he got more carries last season because, I want to see more of him. But I'm not sold on him as a number two after what I've seen in the past few years, and I like Kerryon, so it hurts me to say that. And again, AP, AP kind of is what he is. He's older. He's a smart running back. Great mentor. But he is what he is. He's not going to get any better. He's not going to get faster. He's not going to get stronger. He's Adrian Peterson. That's what he is. I love AP. I love him at the goal line. But he's not going to be a number. He shouldn't be your number 2 running back. I should say that, because that's not the situation you want to be in unless your number 1 is a complete, workhorse. Then it's fine. But ours is not that. All right. So that's the basic stats. But now let's dive a little bit deeper. Let's take a look at some advanced stats here. All right. Let's just keep getting deeper and deeper into this. So starting off with advanced stats. Now, some people tell me, okay, we'll just draft offensive line will be good. And like I said, I used to have that mindset. But I don't completely believe that, because I think this Lions offensive line right now, as it's currently constructed, is pretty good. I think it's pretty good. It's above average. PFF even agrees with me, ranking them 13th in the NFL. All right, now that'll be important later, but 13th. So they believe they were above average this past season as an offensive line. But not only that, look at how this offensive line was constructed. In the Bob Quinn, Matt Patricia era, they have focused on building the offensive line. They told us when they came in they were going to do it, and they've done it. They focused on it, all right? Especially bringing in run blocking offensive linemen. Taylor Decker, left guard, Logan Stenberg, we didn't get to see him, but Joe Dahl, run blocker. Frank Ragnow, center, great center. Right guard, Jonah Jackson, a little bit more of a pass protector, but he's still pretty good at both. Right tackle, Big V, known for run blocking. So this offensive line with guys like Crosby, those guys coming in, they were built to run the football, but they couldn't do it, right? They were still unsuccessful this past season running the football as a team, but Swift was not, all right? That's kind of the initial point I want to make. But let's look at some advanced stats here, all right? So this to me is partly because of running back talent, but it also has to do with the offensive line. Look, quicker running backs, they can hit the hole faster, they can get the ball, and they can go. That's important. Also important is important when you get the ball, right? There's a lot of factors, so this is just one example. But let's start with this example. So this past season, DeAndre Swift averaged 2.9 yards before contact. So before he was touched by anybody defensively, he was picking up 2.9 yards before contact. That doesn't seem that good. 2.9, that's all right. But let's compare it to some of the best running backs in the league. Let's start with Derrick Henry. Now, again, I know Derrick Henry has a bigger, size or workload you can look at, but still, DeAndre Swift got 114 carries last season. That's a lot. Put up ridiculous stats. He averaged 2.5 yards before contact this past season. So basically, just that alone tells you, on average, DeAndre Swift is getting further down the field before he's touched by a defensive player than Derrick Henry is. Some of that's because Swift is quicker, and also some of that is because, well, the offensive line maybe wasn't doing a terrible job. Let's get another one in here, for example. Christian McCaffrey from last season, not this year, he barely played. He didn't even play this year. Last season when McCaffrey was doing these amazing things, McCaffrey averaged 3 yards before contact. 3. Basically the exact same as DeAndre Swift, and 1.8 yards after contact. You know what DeAndre Swift averaged after contact this past season? 1.7. Nearly identical to Christian McCaffrey. All right? Nearly identical. How about another example? Aaron Jones, running back for Green Bay. Great running back. Aaron Jones this past year, 2.5 yards before contact. DeAndre Swift, 2.9. All right. Now, I know the thought, well, hold up. Well, Christian McCaffrey, they don't have much of a threat at passing it. Well, the Packers have a threat. They got Aaron Rodgers. All right. The Titans got Ryan Tannehill. People tell me Tannehill's up there with Stafford. So I'm just saying. So that's the first example I want to show you is that, okay, he's getting somewhere before he's getting touched. It's not like every snap he's getting smacked in the backfield. If he's getting nearly 3 yards before he's touched by a defender, that's incredible compared to some of the best running backs in the league. It's actually better than some of the best running backs in the league. And like I said, he averaged 4.6 yards per carry. It's not like DeAndre Swift is the most amazing running back ever because he's only got 1.7 yards of contact, and his PFF grade was still below a 70 in terms of rushing. He's good. He's better than our other two, but he's not like some amazing running back, which is exciting because he has room to grow. He's still only a rookie. And it also tells you, wow, how high could this get? Because he didn't have a perfect season where he was just unstoppable and he only got 4.6. He had a above average rushing season, but he got 4.6 yards per carry behind the same offensive line that Peterson and Carrion ran behind. Let's talk about the offensive line thing. Let's keep drafting offensive linemen. And I'm good with that. But let's take a look at how much the Lions have focused on the offensive line, where they have been able to do it, and that stint where they were able to. So in 2011 was the best Lions rushing per carry season. They were above average for the only time in Stafford's career. Stafford had 5,000 passing yards, 41 touchdowns. He had a great season. The Lions were a playoff team. Even though their defense was terrible, awful, garbage, they were still a playoff team. Well, that's weird. Well, the only time they finished above average, they were a playoff team. All right. Now, why is that important? Well, that's pretty easy to look at. But why is that important? Well, when 2009, when Matthew Stafford was drafted, The Detroit Lions were 0-16, right? They're coming off 0-16 season. The year they drafted Stafford, they had a lot of picks. They drafted 0 offensive linemen. 2010, 0 offensive linemen. 2011, they drafted 1 offensive lineman in the 7th round. But then how in 2011 could they run the ball if they didn't ever address the offensive line? Look at the offensive line rankings. In 2009, the Lions ranked as the 18th best offensive line. And in 2010, they ranked as the 23rd best offensive line. So it wasn't like this was this great offensive line that everybody saw out there and they're like, wow, this is so good. Through that 3-year span, this is what the Lions drafted. Aaron Brown, a 6th round running back. Didn't really work out, but he was a 6th round pick. Javid Best, 2nd round running back. And Michael LaShore, 2nd round running back. So in 3 years, the Lions drafted 3 running backs, 2 in the 2nd round. And Javid Best was good in 2011. That's why we were above average. It's just unfortunate his career was cut short because of the concussions and injuries. Michael LaShore didn't work out so much. But you can see there was an emphasis to get running backs. Now, take a look at the Lions since that time. From 2012 to 2020, the Lions have not gotten above average in rushing per carry in any season. Since that time, the Lions have drafted Frank Ragnow in the 1st round, Taylor Decker in the 1st round, Laken Tomlinson in the 1st round, Riley Reif in the 1st round. They've drafted Jonah Jackson in the 3rd, Travis Swanson in the 3rd. They've drafted Logan Stenberg in the 4th. They've drafted Joe Dahl in the 5th. They've drafted Robinson in the 7th. Not to mention free agent signings, big free agent signings, Big V to $50 million, $45 to $50 million, Rick Wagner to a huge contract, right? So they've put the resource out there, and Bob Quinn told us he was going to do this to get these offensive linemen, but yet they haven't been able to run the ball. They haven't been able to run the ball. So what's the issue here? A very large sample size that you see from 2012 to 2020. Here's what the Lions have drafted at running back. Here's what the Lions have brought in at running back. A 6th round Theo Riddick, who was actually good. I like Theo Riddick. Not as much as runner, but he was good out of the backfield for sure. Amir Abdullah, 2nd round. Dwayne Washington, 7th round. Kerryon, 2nd round. Ty Johnson, 6th round. And DeAndre Swift, 2nd round. So 3 2nd round running backs in that big span compared to the Lions bringing in 2 in 3 years. Okay, that's fine. You're bringing in 2nd round running backs. But here's what people don't realize about these 2nd round running backs. Yes, they're 2nd round picks, but they're 2nd round picks as they're not the best they're not a top running back in their class. For example, Amir Abdullah, who was a 2nd round pick, okay? He was ranked as the 5th best running back coming out of the draft that year. The 5th best. Now, Amir Abdullah didn't hit. Sometimes you just miss. I think a lot of it was fumble issues. I mean, he had potential, but he fumbled a lot. But either way, he was the 5th best. So it wasn't like he was a top running back, but he top 5. A lot of people looked at him as the 5th best. Next up, Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon was a 2nd round pick, yes. He was also the 7th ranked running back in that class. The Lions in 2020 drafted Swift, who's ranked as the best running back in that class. And what do you notice there is that running back that was ranked as the best, some people the 2nd best, is really good. But it's not me bashing the fact that the Detroit Lions are getting all these offensive linemen now. It's actually a good thing. They've taken the emphasis to fix the offensive line. They brought in all these pieces. But now you have to get the guys that can play behind it. I love what they've done. Again, I'm always in for adding offensive linemen. But you also have to put guys that can play behind it. Because you're letting a above average offensive line go to waste because you're not putting talent behind it. That's what the Lions must do. Put talent behind it. Offensive line has to block for a player. And like I said, in a perfect world, hat on hat, helmet on helmet, some guy's going to be free anyway. Have to be able to make that guy miss. Does that mean the Lions should go high draft pick for running back? Potentially. Here's why I say that. And it doesn't have to be 1st round or anything like that, but here's why I say it needs to be a must. If you think a guy in the 4th round is great, grab him because you can hit on late round picks. Aaron Jones is a 5th round pick. All right, there's a difference. There is a skill gap in running backs, okay? It's not just any running back can run. But let me show you an example around the league of why this is important, all right? So let's take a look at some of the best rushing teams in the league today. Ravens, Titans, Philly, Green Bay, Minnesota, teams like that, right? Great rushing teams in the league today. Let's start off with the Minnesota Vikings, all right? The Vikings, one of the best rushing teams in the league. I think they're averaging at 4.9 yards per carry. Well, they drafted a guy named Dalvin Cook in the 2nd round back in 2017, all right? They put the effort to go get a top-tier running back, Dalvin Cook. And he was ranked very highly in his class. Well, in 2017, when he was drafted, he came in his first year averaging 4.8 yards per carry. 2018, 4.6. 2019, 4.5. And this past year, 5 yards per carry. The year before they drafted him as a team, they averaged 3.2 yards per carry, the worst in the league. The year he comes in, it's 4.8. So how such a big jump? Because he's a good running back. He can make it work as a running back. Let me give you more examples just to make sure you get a bigger sample size. Tennessee Titans, they got Derrick Henry. They landed this beast out of Alabama. Another 2nd round pick, 45th overall pick in the draft. Top running back, one of the top running backs in his draft. So Titans one of the best rushing teams right now. Before he got there, they were averaging 4.4 yards per carry as a team. Not very good. The year he came in, he averages 4.5, 4.2, 4.9, 5.1, 5.4. Every year better than the year before he got there as a team. He has ran better than than the team did on average since he's got there. Let's do another example. Philadelphia. They're actually one of the better rushing teams in the league right now. Kind of crazy. Well, in 2018, before they drafted Miles Sanders as a team, 3.9 yards per carry. The year they drafted Miles averages 4.6. This year, 5.3. There's a lot of examples. Let's do another one, because why not? Saquon Barkley. Now, he was the second pick in the draft. But before they drafted Saquon, 2017, 3.9 yards per carry. The year Saquon's drafted, he comes in and averages 5 and 4.6. And this year, like, barely played, so I'm not counting this year. But what do you see here? All right, you see a team that can't run the ball, grab a top 2 running back, and now that running back has success. How does that running back have success between an offense that couldn't run the past year? Maybe they made some tweaks at offensive line, but there are examples everywhere. So it's not like there's just one outlier. The fact is, these running backs that are very talented find a way to be able to run behind this offensive line or this team that couldn't run before as a team, because there's a skill gap in running backs. It's not just any running back can run the football. If that was the case, then why is Kerryon Johnson a second-round pick? Why is Kerryon Johnson did not hit? Why is Kerryon Johnson not getting playing time? Why did Kerryon Johnson this season averaged 3.5 yards per carry when he got the ball, and Swift averaged 4.6? Because running backs aren't equal. There's a difference. There's a skill gap between running backs. And just like anything you draft, not everything is going to hit. Not everything's going to work out. Yeah, you got to draft a little bit better. But we've also seen when you take the consensus top running back, that one actually hit. But, at least so far. But, like any position, not everything's going to hit. Throw this at you from the past season just to show you how important it was for the Lions. So this past season, DeAndre Swift missed 3 games. All right, now some games he didn't play that much, but the 3 games that he was out, concussion, which is already concerning, while one other running back too. But 3 games that he was out, right? The Lions, 13th ranked offensive line, above average. So it's your chance, Deion. It's your chance, Karen. It's a chance, AP. You guys can do your thing. Here's how the Lions ran the ball when Swift wasn't there. First game, Carolina. They scored 0 points in that game, by the way. Against Carolina, not a good defense. Adrian Peterson averaged 2.6 yards per carry, and Kerryon averaged 2.8. Next week, you play Houston, one of the worst rushing defenses in the league, so you should go off. They did better, but not good. AP, 3.7. Kerryon, 4.2. Not bad. Still below average in the league, but I guess it's not bad. And then Chicago, final game without Swift. AP, 3.6. Kerryon, 1. Right? Not good. And if Kerryon, the best game you had of those 3, the best rushing performance you had of those 3 was Kerryon against Houston, terrible run defense, where he averaged 4.2 yards per carry. That would have 4.2 yards per carry would tie you for 19th or 23rd in the NFL today. That's not good. That's below average. Rushing game was below average without DeAndre Swift. Your best rushing game through 3 games without Swift was not even better than Swift average on the season at 4.6. Because there's a difference between running backs. There's a difference. Now, why is rushing the football important in today's NFL? Rushing the football is extremely important in today's NFL for many reasons. Many reasons. Let me tell you just a few of them. Let's take a look at 2 teams in the NFL. Cleveland and Tennessee. All right? Baker Mayfield with the running game they have and without. Last year we're thinking, is he gonna keep his job? This year we're saying, oh wow, he looks great. They're one of the best rushing teams in the league because they have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt with that duo. Take a look at Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill. Oh, he might not be that good of a quarterback. Goes Tennessee, looks great. You got a guy, Derrick Henry. That's the effect that it can have. You want to use an example in-house? Jared Goff. Goff with LA. Super Bowl years. Oh, he's looking great. 30 touchdowns, 12 picks. Looks awesome. There's no questions about his future. They're averaging 4.9 yards per carry. That drops off. Oh, gosh, we don't want Jared Goff anymore. Now, look. Great quarterbacks can put up with it. They don't thrive in it, but they can put up with it. Stafford still played a good year without being a run ball. Stafford still put up MVP numbers, averaging 3.3 yards per carry behind him in 8 games last season. But the thing is, Lions don't have Matthew anymore. And that was an issue because if the Lions could have just put any kind of running game around him, we saw the only time they ever did it, we made the playoffs and he had 5,000 yards. Now tell me when the Rams put a running game around him, wait till you see what happens. I'm just telling you, just wait till you see what happens. It's going to be just what happened to Tannehill. And the thing is, Stafford's better than Tannehill. That's the thing. That's why it's so important. And for Goff, you ain't going to get a good Goff if you can't run the ball. He's already shown us that. He needs help, or for many reasons. But let's take a look at the Super Bowl team this year. Now, I know you look at the numbers, oh, they didn't run the ball that well during the regular season. A lot of that had to do with Tom Brady, because Tom Brady took off like 3 times and would get negative 2 yards, and it pulled the weight down. But if you look at their playoff run, all right, by the way, Tom Brady threw 3 picks in an NFC Championship game, and they won. Think about that. Against Aaron Rodgers on the road. But think about this. In their playoff run, here's the 4 teams they faced. First off, Washington. Leonard Fournette averages 4.9 yards per carry in that game. 2 running backs, 4.9 yards per carry, 4.2 yards per carry. How about the Saints game? All right, Fournette, 3.7. Not great. Ronald Jones averaging 4.8 yards per carry. So on average, that would be like, oh, what, 4.2, 4.3? Okay. Packers, you had Leonard Fournette, 4.6 yards per game. Okay, yeah, Unfortunately, Ronald Jones is only 1.6, but you had a really good running back, and they didn't give Ronald the ball that much. They went with Leonard Fournette. How about against the Chiefs? Fournette, 5.6, Jones, 5.1. Every one of those games, they had a really good runner. 4.9, 4.8, 4.6, 5.6, 5.1. They had a good rushing attack. They had a running back that played really well in that game. One thing you notice about all Lions playoff loss with Stafford, they didn't run the ball well in any of them. None of them. They ran terrible in every single game. Every single one of them. Rushing the ball is important, okay? It's important. And the Bucs had to lean on that. Now, here's another thing. If you have a bad to average defense, the run game is even more important. If you're a team that has a great defense, rushing the football isn't everything. For example, like the Bucs during regular season. Okay, yards per carry wasn't that great. A lot of that had to do with Tom Brady. But let's just say it doesn't have to do with Tom Brady. They just don't run the ball extremely well, and they're below average. But they also have a defense that is playing like what? And they were 7-5 at one point, so it wasn't perfect. But their defense was playing outstanding. See, the Lions aren't in that position. The Lions have the Lions are coming off the worst defensive season ever in their franchise history. And you ain't going to fix it all with one move. But what can help your defense? A run game is what Patricia wanted to do. He wanted to keep the defense off the field. A run game can control the clock, keep the defense off the field, limit turnovers, open up the passing game, just like it did with Jared Goff in LA. If the defense stacks the box to stop it, you got open routes down the field. A run game can change a game because you can dominate on the ground. You can own time possession. You can take the other team out of whatever they want to do. Running the football. It's what Dan Campbell wants to do. It's what Anthony Lynn wants to do. You got guys that want to run the football. So why not focus on the run game? It's something that you've never been able to do. And now here's another concern in-house. DeAndre Swift has already dealt with an injury. All right. Now it was in practice. I'm not saying it's going to come back. But look, DeAndre Swift can't be your workhorse. Look around the league. How many teams around the league do you see roll with one running back and they're a good rushing team? You don't see any. The only team you see as an exception is the Tennessee Titans. That's the only team. Every team. When Delvin Cook's not there, they have Madison. They have guys that can step up. They have good backups. There aren't teams in the league where you see everywhere it's like, oh, wow, they only have one good running back. Derrick Henry is the exception. The difference is Derrick Henry in college was a workhorse. He was a bell cow in college. Derrick Henry, his final year of college, had nearly 400 carries. Swift didn't get that. He didn't even get 200 carries in his final year of college. Swift didn't come out of the draft as a bell cow. He came out splitting carries. All right? He split with guys like Nick Chubb, guys like Sony Michel. And in the NFL, he can't be your bell cow. He can't be your workhorse because he's not that big. He's not built like that. You got to use Swift on the outside. You got to keep this guy healthy. You got to use his elusiveness. You can't have him getting 40 carries a game. He's going to get hurt. You're going to slow him down. And like the Lions are trying to protect the running backs. Great way to do it. But you got to have a good running back then. The Lions, that is why I think the Lions should focus on a running back. Because there's examples everywhere to explain why it's so important. It's not just a position that, you got no good offensive line, it'll work. Because guess what? That 2011 season, where the Lions, the best we've seen run the football in the Stafford era, their offensive line, their run grade ranking, according to PFF, was 22nd in the league. But Javid Best ran well behind it. Because Javid Best was a good running back. Running backs aren't just, it doesn't matter which one you get, they're fine. Doesn't matter. That's not how that works. There is a skill gap in running backs, and I have learned that. The numbers will tell you that. And that's why I value running back, because it helps me everywhere. And if it's something that the Lions couldn't do for over a decade, then let's fix this. We haven't been able to do it since Barry. So why do we not focus on fixing that? I get the defense needs help. But I think this team, where it's built offensively, yes, you could use offensive line help. I'm all in for that. I never said don't draft offensive line because I think it's good. Never said that. Draft offensive line to get depth. If you don't want to go with, if you need a guard, get a guard. But you have an opportunity right now with where you're sitting, with tight ends that can block, with most of the offensive line foundation filled out, with one really good running back, to give him a partner, to protect DeAndre Swift, to take care of him, but also give him a sidekick, someone that maybe changes the game up. That's why I value it. Because we have an awful defense. But I know that's not our situation. Our situation is Jared Goff, who looks bad without a running game, and an awful defense. So if I can get the run game going because Swift can do it, if I can get it going as a whole because I add one more running back to that, one really talented running back, and I pair those two together, then guess what? We just fixed a big problem that we haven't been able to fix. The Lions, at least their last regime, put us in position to do this. Now we just got to do it. We just got to capitalize. The opportunity sitting right there. What if Swift doesn't play? What if Swift gets injured next year? Hate to say it, knock on wood, but what if he does? What are you doing at running back? You throwing out Carry-On all game? No, he already showed you we can't do that. Because when Swift was down, nobody could take over for him. We looked terrible. We couldn't run the ball at all. We scored 0 against Carolina. Not all their fault. But they already showed you they can't take over the run load. So what is your backup option? A 5th round running back? If you love him, fine. But don't just take it because, we think, we could use one. But they're all the same. They're not all the same. Talent is a difference. There's a reason they're drafted at different spots. And I like Brad Holmes because Brad Holmes ain't afraid to take a running back 2nd round. He ain't afraid to do it. I say 2nd round because they don't have 1st round picks. He ain't afraid to take a Cam Akers. Or at least as a team they weren't. So that's why I value the running back position. Let me know your thoughts and comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.